To the shop, back after a couple of month hiatus with number 9. My parts just came back in a couple days ago from the train department. So where are we at? So apparently the issue inside this engine that I was having was, after talking to some people that do this all the time, was in here in the steam chest there was an issue of blow-by. So what that required to fix it was to ship out the steam chest here to New Jersey to have some rings and grooves installed on the valves. The valves were polished, grooved, and sent back. I started actually assembling it, and I forgot to take the video, which is probably better, because yesterday I noticed when I started putting together that this left valve chest here was actually bent. You can see the tubing on this side is straight, but this thing was actually cockeyed and probably at a 30-degree angle. So I had to use some precision applications of hammers and such to get this back in the line so that these machine screws would fit back into the piston body. It's probably better I didn't film that, because that wouldn't have been it wasn't a PG rated video. Anyway, beside assembly, I put this bracket back on, these plates here. I also spent some time and I made this engine a reverse or outside emission engine. So it changes the way the steam is emitted from the steam chest into your pistons. There's a great article, and I'll include a link in the description below. This is all the printouts of it, on how to do this. It's better for the engine mechanically. Also gives you better performance. It reverses the factory inside emission to outside emission, or vice versa. And you'll see I've been air testing the engine, and it runs quite well. And it'll run really smooth at a slow speed. So anyway, that's enough of that. Pardon the compressor hissing in the background. I just finished calibrating this. And you do that actually by reversing the eccentrics in here. Like I said, I'll include a link to that article down there in the description, and we'll go from there. So what we're going to do in this video is actually just kind of get this ready for reassembly. I've tested it as much as I'm going to test it. The air testing is nice because you tend to get instant results, as opposed to having to wait for steam, and you're not burning yourself because everything is at least 200 degrees. So we're gonna fit our boiler back on. While it was out and off, I actually repainted the front of that, and I also repainted the back to a gloss black paint to match the cab and the rest of the engine. Everything was flat black before. So yeah, first things first, we're going to refit the boiler and put it back together. So first thing, we're going to put these little side panels on, and I'm probably just going to fast forward the video through this so you don't have to sit here and watch me do assembly work. And over the little nuts here. One thing I will say when it comes to the reassembly of one of these engines, if you ever get into them as far as I did, is in between the valve chest and the piston, there's a little plastic or some kind of material gasket, and they look like they're 100% reversible, but they're not. And let me tell you, when you go to ever reassemble one of these engines, check the orientation before and make a note of it, because when you go to reassemble it, it will drive you absolutely batty on why it doesn't work or work right. So the holes in the center of the gasket actually favor the back, and it's such a minute difference. So like I said, if you ever take one of these apart this far, just be very aware of that. Or if you assemble one of these as a kit, be aware of that, because like I said, that'll make the engine not work completely. And also a trick that I learned is it's hard to get a real good grip. And you don't want, this is brass, you don't want to over torque it, but you want to apply a little more than you can probably do this with oily hands. So it actually has this hole here, and you take that and for example right there, stick this through that hole, and this just happens to be what I had on hand. You can actually tighten these back to what they would have tightened them at the factory. And again, you're not, when it's tight, but it's hard to get a grip on these, at least for me with these micro screwdrivers, especially when you're working on a live steam engine. Everything is coated in oil already. So we'll flip that around, add this here. So basically, this engine, I took it down to the steam chest. That was shipped to New Jersey to the train department. It took, I'm not gonna bash the guy who's not here to defend himself, but it took a lot longer than I would really had expected. I don't know the exact date of my last video, but I shipped it out on my last video probably 3 days after making that video, and here we are halfway through August and I'm just getting it back. So yeah, I don't know, I mean, I don't know, I was kind of quoted just a couple days or a week or two, and a couple months later here we are. So anyway, that being said, I'm sure things run behind, and these are only models, but I missed, I didn't have this first couple steam ups, and anyway, so those covers are back on there. That's looking right. We're going to take our boiler, and we are going to mount the boiler there. And there are, impossible task here is there are two of these screws that need to go into the boiler and hold on the boiler. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right with you. Alright, gentlemen, so through the magic of television, the future is now the present, and here we are. So I got the boiler reattached. There's one Phillips screw there, and there's two bolts rather in the smoke box that go down at angles into that brass block you saw before. Just a word to the wise, or a pro tip. They go in at angles, those two bolts, so they don't go straight up and down, despite the way they look. And they're a little bit difficult to get in there, so yeah, that took a little bit of time, but the engine is back together and ready to chooch, so to speak. Next thing we're going to do is install the chuffer. This is the Summerlin's chuffer, and screw it in. Let me just shut off the fan. Sorry about that. That fan is just keeping it cool down here. It's about, I don't know, it's hot. It's an August day and it's pretty warm, so just give it a little hand tightness. Doesn't need to be super tight, like I said. You're screwing in the brass, so you don't want to over torque things. The thing I like about this chuffer, one, the sound it makes, and two, it does prevent you from being scalded. The Ruby originals had the exhaust pipe just comes right up to here and just blows oily hot condensate all over you, so not too fun. So hand tight it, and then I just kind of give a little twist to make sure just under vibration it doesn't back out. Next thing we're going to do is attach our funnel, which is covered in sawdust, and so I'm going to just put this here. Find it. There we go. And one good squeeze there. I'll tighten the locking nut inside. Be careful not to tighten your chuffer or rip that out. So, I think if I had my Leatherman tool, I could probably do that a little bit better, but just if you twist it the right way. That was the right way. So what I'm doing is that little collet in there, and sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. Twist that, and that tightens your funnel. Yeah, that's nice and tight. All right, so there's your smoke box, your chuffer pipe, your two bolts. Next thing we're going to do is spin the boiler around, the engine around, and move up this union to where the regulator, or throttle, connects to the steam pipe. And we're going to take some of our high temp sealant and we'll dab on the threads. You could use silicone tape if you wanted to. The problem with silicone is it just, on threads, at least for me this size with my fat fingers, getting the silicone tape even in the right neighborhood is just not, you know, you can use the high temperature silicone, but it's just easier to squirt a little dab will do you. That thing's called Permtex. Yeah, Permatex. They sell it at the train department. As I said before, you know, I'm not knocking them. You know, like I said, I was quoted at a time, and you know, it was significantly longer, and you know, I'm not bashing them. It's kind of frustrated. That's all. I was saying in the earlier part of the video. I was just frustrated, but I mean, honestly, it wasn't for businesses like him and guys like him not taking the risk and supplying live steam parts, that just wouldn't be this hobby. So, you know, don't take that as a criticism of him. It's a more of a frustration on my lack of patience which I've been known to have before. So, all right, that should be in there. I'll give it another turn. I notice when every time you think you have it tight, it's not actually really tight. Especially with things involving water and copper. Just when you think it's tight, it's actually not. Here's our burner, or our jet to the burner. In an earlier video, I did a statement on this, and I think if you go back, the troubleshooting a live steam engine, I talked about how to set this burner up. As you probably thought, I was having trouble with the flame staying consistent or even lit, and through some trial and error, believe me, it's not genius. Through some trial and error, I actually figured out the problem and drew a diagram on how to fix that problem. So, believe me, it's not individual genius that I figured it out. It was really trial and error. So, all right. So, next thing is installing the back end of the engine. I'm going to put this screw right there. There's the nut. And where's that screw that I just literally just had in my hand? There it is. Alright, so as I remember, this slides into there. Yeah, just like that. And this portion comes underneath this hole here. I believe that is the right orientation. Button, we'll see there, and then we'll take this nut and through the miracles of science, take our screwdriver and just kind of start tightening that up a little bit. All right. Again, sorry I'm coughing so much. I'm just getting over a rather nasty cold. Alright guys, as I said before, this is the poor craftsman who goes and blames his tools. So we're going to reattach the rear truck. I do this just, I add a little dollop of petroleum jelly. Because my radiuses out back are so tight, this just acts as a bearing surface. I don't have to. I do it only, I don't know, just do it. But here's that screw I was looking for. Yeah, my workbench, as you can tell from maybe watching other videos, is a little bit dirtier and kind of more hectic than it was before. you know, a lot of that has to do with, you know, it's my own fault. Can't blame anyone else. But you know, I expected this to be back in 2 weeks or so, and you know, 2 months later, I never put anything away. I had the screws out. I had, and these things are, you know, as you can see, are microscopic. So it's in line there. So you can see these screws. They're microscopic sized. Anyway, so you know, I should have put everything away and labeled it, but I didn't. So there's a little bit of jumpiness on the reassembly, which you kind of edited out of the video. So I'm gonna mix up some epoxy, glue the newly painted running board. Hey guys, we're back here at the steam shelf, and we're done with number 9 for now. All in all, it wasn't a bad project. I epoxied the running boards back on and reattached the rear truck. While I was off camera, I did a steam up of it. The burner needed a little bit of adjustment like it had before, but now it's back in the proper position. And it seemed to run okay. You know, little teething problems. Essentially, it was a new engine to begin with, and you know it's got a whole new steam chest, so it's in valve gear, and so it's got to wear in. But it ran well. Ran nice and slow. The reversing of the admission really worked well. Also, if you notice, Ruby now has I painted her pistons and steam chest or valve chest because that brass just, it annoys me. It always did, and I finally got the paint to do that. And number 9 will have that done. And I just got a base coat on there for now, but I let that dry. And yeah, all in all, I mean, it was you know, it runs, so it was a successful rebuild, or repair. I got some touch-up areas I want to do, just sitting here looking at it at eye level in a different light. But you know, I enjoyed doing it. You know, it was a lot of fun for me. It's fun making these videos. I mean, it's no secret that I film these on my iPhone, and the quality is not the best. It's always barking at me that you know, it's out of memory, so I have to kind of edit, and you know, I decided to edit out a lot of the reassembly because you know, it just took up memory, and it wasn't that interesting. Plus, there was a fitment issue on some things that I kind of had to work around. All in all, start to stop, this was about a hour-long project to get it reassembled. And that's working through some of the kinks and dealing with missing screws, because as I said before, I was expecting this to be a 2-week thing, and you know, stuff over 2 months gets moved around by accident. So anyway guys, if you like this video and you like my other videos, I highly recommend that you take a minute and hit that subscribe button right there, and click the notification bell so you're notified when I upload more videos. I'd like to expand this channel, and you know, I appreciate the comments that you leave, and you know, liking and subscribing is one way to show your appreciation. It lets the old Googler know that you're interested in seeing my content. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and have a good day.